Hey everyone, welcome back to the next part of session 5. So in the previous video, let me do a small recap. We talked about how to build end-to-end Streamlit application with a very simple infrastructure called EchoBot. And what it's doing is you type in some message and it's simply just gonna respond the exact same message that you typed in, kind of like an echo, right? So very simple code in terms of the app. And the key point is to show you guys step by step what is the procedure to build a Streamlit application. For example, we used the package manager UV, we used Claude Anthropic code, and we pushed the code from local environment to GitHub repository. So previous video, we talked about all of that, right? In this video, we're gonna start from scratch again, from pulling the code from the GitHub repository and we're going to update the app a little bit, right? So with that being said, let's turn our attention to the screen. So on the left-hand side of my screen, I have GitHub repository open. On the right-hand side, I have a WSL open. That is the Workbench Linux version terminal, but I'm running this within the Windows computer. So that's the framework. And the reason I'm doing this is I want to show a little bit of a different procedure than previous video. So you guys all get like a different uh, practice for a little bit of tools here and there. So this command here should be identical to those of you who are using MacBooks. A previous video, it's assuming that you're using Windows. This video, we're doing this so that it's simulating the environment that you are doing in a MacBook. So with that being said, let's start with pulling the GitHub repository. So right now I'm in an empty folder, right? There's nothing here. So what I'm going to do is do a git clone. And the repository is you click the green button. I'm going to copy this link and just put the repository here. It will pull all of the artifact from this GitHub repository. And what I'm going to do is I am going to make sure I'm in the right branch. So let me make sure I am in the correct folder. Paste U 676. And then these are the folders. Now I'm going to do a git branch. It's going to tell me what the branch is. I'm going to do a git branch -a. That means all of the branch. And I'm going to do a git checkout origin 2025 fall. And then let me see what branch am I in right now, just as a confirmation. I am here, but it's detached, but it's okay. We're gonna uh, work out that kinks later. If I can do a git pull, let's see, git pull, um, remote origin 2025 fall. Just want to make sure I'm pulling the correct one. Make sure I have correct access. Um, okay, maybe I need to get rid of the origin. Uh, let's see if that works. Or git pull this. If that doesn't work, then let's uh, use clock code. So what I'm going to do is once I'm in a correct environment, I am going to initiate Claude. And then I'm going to say hi. Great. And then how can I help you? I want you to check which branch I'm on. I want to make sure that I'm in the branch 2025 fall. So let's see if it's able to verify that for us. And I might actually have to be able to put API key in there. But let's see what it's happening. It's detaches means it's not at the correct state. So what I'm going to do is, yeah, switch it. Let's see if that works. And then say checkout, yes. We know there might be an error, so we want to see if the error makes sense. Okay, so sounds like it worked. Great. Okay. So what we are going to do right now is we want to get inside of the deliverable project one directory, and we want to be able to edit this main.py. So let's grab this path. Let's just copy the path. And then let's say something like this. I know that the main code for the app is in here. Put that directory there. And then I'm going to make a new line. I want to add Anthropic, Claude, Sonnet, I'm going to say 3.5 model into this app so I can talk to it like a real chatbot. Set up in for me to put in API keys. Update the main.py file appropriately. So in this prompt that I just put in, obviously you can probably rely on the cloud to figure that out, but I'm giving it a bit more information. I'm giving it the location, I'm giving it the model. Obviously, I'm hoping this to be a class demo, so I'm just going to use 3.5 as a cheap model. And then I'm going to set up environment because I know there's API key, right? So these things obviously I know, and then I kind of list out the tasks that I want AI to do for me, right? So that planning still belongs to human. Uh, but if you don't say any of this, you just kind of say, hey, I want to make this app more real, then there are a million ways to make it more real, right? So if you just say that and you're not very precise, then Claude Code might just going on a tangent, right? And then it start doing things perhaps it's just not kosher. So that's why I want to just keep things simple. And also it limits probably the thinking token. It limits the amount of steps that it goes on its own tangent, right? It limits the potential of hallucinate, right? It limits all of that by having AI to follow the steps that I laid out like that. Um, so I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to see what Claude does for me. Either it works or it doesn't. If it doesn't, then we're going to have to debug from there. But let's see. So I'm going to create an example. Example looks like this. Okay, fine. We're going to create an example of a .in file. That's what that means. Totally fine. That's no problem. Just put documentation, right? Um, Human programmers may or may not realize to do that at the beginning. That's okay. That's why we're here. Okay, so what's the next step? And then you search the pattern, whatever, figure out that it needs to update this Python script. That makes sense. We do need to update that, right? How? That's the question, right? Import Anthropic, import OS, import load.in. All that makes sense to me. Load environment variable, set title, whatever. And then that's the API call. And obviously here we're assuming that we have the API key provided, right? If not, then no worries, we'll have an error code. And I think that's the only place that it needs to edit this Python script. So just by kind of looking at it, I'm happy with it. Uh, and for all of the students, all of the audience out there, you can look at this as well. You either understand or you don't. If you understand it, great. Let's continue. If you don't understand it, you can always ask questions, right? So let me just make this edit and then I'm going to ask a question. So here it asks me, do you want to make this edit? 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna choose option 1. I'm gonna hit enter, and then it will update it. And then once this section is done, I'm gonna ask a couple questions just to show you guys, if you have questions, what are you supposed to do, right? So it says done. I've set up this integration. I've done 1, I've done 2, blah, 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 blah. Next step is to create a .inf, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So you can ask questions here, but I'm gonna continue for just finish these steps before I ask questions, because I want this to be a cohesive steps. So what I'm gonna do is I'm simply gonna say, um, yes, please create .inf file for me. Put a fake key in there for now. Then install the dependencies for me. I think I'm using UV, so you might want to use that. Okay, so that should be enough of information to tell the AI what to do next, right? Whatever the API key here is just obviously a fake key that's in the .in file right now. Let's say, do you want to create this? Let's say yes. And then we're gonna see what it's doing next. It's going to create the file, and obviously it's going to install a bunch of dependencies. Here, that's the command that it's going to run. If you don't understand what the command is doing, here's a comment. It is going to install Anthropic and Python.in with UV. That's what that command means. So we're going to say yes, enter, and it's going to go ahead and install these things. If you want to read it, you can use Control O to expand it. Control O, that's what I'm doing right now. You can get out of it by pressing Control O. And once it's finished, you are pretty much all set. So in that spirit, now you just gotta replace API key in there. So well, I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then I'll pause the recording and come back. So give me just 1 sec to do that. Okay, great. So I just put my API key in a .in file, and then we are good to go. Now what I'm going to do is I am back into this directory. Let me do a ls to list out all the files. It says here are all the files. Great. I'm going to go into deliverable and then do another ls as project 1. I'm going to go to project 1, do another ls. That's going to give me all these files. And then from here, I can then check out the main.py. So do a concatenation, main.py. It's going to print out the Python script for me of what's going inside of the Streamlit application, right? So what we add here is the client. It's the client that's making API call using this API key from Anthropic. And that's the model, that's the token, that's how we manage the sessions. So it memorizes all the historical conversation, things like that. So this makes it no longer a EchoBot, right? This is now officially a chatbot, right? You talk to it, it says something back to you, right? So that's what's happening here. And then with that said, I think we can get inside Claude. So I'm going to say Claude. It's going to pop out a CLI. And then now we're in the Claude coding environment. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, um, can you explain the main.py code for me? I know it's a Java, but I don't understand how things work. Can you draw a diagram for me that's ACSII style? Um, and the diagram should explain what happens when user types in a message, right? So I give it a bit more information. I want Claude Code to read that Python script in that directory, and I want to draw a diagram for me to explain how things work, right? Earlier, we said that we write a code, but now we want to be able to understand, right? You either understand the code that the AI wrote for you or you don't, right? If you understand, great. If you don't, that's okay, right? That's okay. Just ask, right? I want you guys to be willing to ask AI questions. That's what AI is doing for us. So let's hit enter. It's gonna obviously take a minute and think about what's going on, and then hopefully end of the day, it draws a nice picture for us, right? So I'm gonna move this to left a little bit, and then um, let's see. Great. So that's the style of picture it draw for us. User types a message. Great. That's step number one. Display user message. Great. It actually tells me which line of a code that it's doing, right? Great. Append the message to the session state. The session state here is just the session of the app, right? It's kind of like a collection of the history of the message. So, that's there, great. And then it creates the API client and then send the entire message history inside to that one API call so that the recent, or maybe I should say the latest response from the chatbot is created not just based on the recent one user prompt, but also based on the entire history of the conversation that's being saved in the session state, right? So that it has the long-term memory. So that's what's happening here when it's sending that message history to the Claude API, right? And then obviously, once that's done, you get your response. So you extract the text back. Once you extract the text back, you display the response on the screen. And then whatever the response is, you of course append it, right? Um, so that's the last step. And after that, that finishes one turn of the conversation. So if you finish one turn of the conversation, then you can kind of get an understanding that's how things work, right? Because the next time you talk to it, it will just continue uh, rotate or continue reiterate these steps as the conversation grows longer and longer. So that's what's happening here, and it pretty much explains the procedure in front of us using this diagram. So now that we are kind of like on the same page of what the app is doing, now let's deploy this locally, right? So you can say, please use UV to deploy this locally so I can test the app. And then hopefully it recognizes that UV is the package manager. It runs the correct command. And then here it says, okay, we're going to run this using UV. Do you want to proceed? I'll say yes, hit enter. Let's see if there's bugs, right? If there's bugs, then obviously let's iron out what the bugs are. So I think this is there's a failure here. Let's see if this one runs headless true. This is in a headless mode. We can probably ask what that means later. But let's see if this works first. So there you go. So now the app is running. Localhost A501. If I click on it, it should be able to pop out on here. Maybe this works, maybe it doesn't. There you go. Okay, great. Claude chatbot. Let's talk to it. Right? Let's see if this works. What is 1 plus 2 minus 3 times 4? Okay. Hit enter. Hopefully it works, right? Hopefully the API key is correct. Great. Now you just built yourself your first chatbot, right? End to end, right? This is no longer a EchoBot. This is now a real deal, right? It's supported by Claude Anthropic, and it's doing that because of its API key, right? So great, we are pretty much at the end game here, and you guys have a good understanding of building this app end to end. So that's awesome, right? Let's continue to give a few more conversations. So what is You know what? Let me give a harder math problem. So let's say I have x plus y to be 2 and x minus y. You can kind of think about this as 0 plus 2, and 0 minus 2 is minus 2. What is x and y? Let's see if it's able to solve that. It's a bit more complicated. Then it's hopefully you'll be able to solve it. Therefore, 0, 2. Great, makes sense. Awesome. So it's able to handle math, maybe something interesting, right? Tell me a joke. Okay, so hopefully it tells you a joke. Great. That's a joke. And now you can go back, right? Because we talked about the entire session state. We talked about history of the message. So you can kind of say, what questions did I ask you earlier? And this way, it's a good test to test out the session. If the session of the history is managed correctly, it should be able to say, okay, maybe tell me a joke is a question, maybe a math problem is a question, right? X, Y, whatever. Maybe this 1 plus 2 thing, it's a question, right? It should say at least some of those, right? If it does not say any of those, then your session state is not managed correctly, right? So you hit enter, hopefully it will retrieve the history message, right? And it did do that in that order, exactly correct. And even the syntax is correct line by line, right? So this way it gives you a good confidence, a good conviction that you built your app properly. Everything's correct, everything's kosher, and then you're comfortable of what's going on here, right? So there you go, hang in there. There's more to come, right? We're not complete done yet. We're taking step by step. Next step, next video, we're gonna come back. We're gonna talk about internet search. So I'll see you in the next video.